Hey, here we go. We are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Hollywood Critics Association After Party After Show, or the After Party for the After Party tonight. So tonight, whenever you're watching this, we are talking episode 4 entitled Chelsea. And this one is all about the character of Chelsea, who is also, as you might know her, Alana Glazer from Broad City. And I wanted to welcome my other panelists, Adriana and Jana. Adriana, please introduce yourself.
Okay, so I'm Adriana Gomez-Weston. So I have my website, The Cinema Soloist, and I also do a lot of freelance work. And so I wasn't here last week, which is a shame because last week was actually my birthday week for the debut of the show, so that would have been perfect. But I am here right now, and so you can find me on Twitter at Adriana in Bloom and Instagram at Adriana in Bloom.
And Jana.
Yeah, I'm Jana Nagase. I was here last week, so even though Adriana, happy belated birthday, and I'm very happy that you can join us this week. And I write for one of the biggest Brazilian newspapers here in the US. And I also have my own YouTube channel, my own website. You can find me at janaoncamera.com and Jana on Camera on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And I also collaborate with mamasgeek.com.
And I'm Rick Hong. You guys can follow me on all social media at Rick Hong and HollywoodFirstLook.com. Tonight, we are talking episode 4. So, Adriana, and I want to start with you since you weren't here last week talking about episodes 1 through 3. Can you just kind of talk about your general reactions to like the first 3 episodes watching the series?
I'm loving it so far. So what I think Phil Lord and Christopher Miller did is very unique in creating each episode as a different genre for each person's perspective. So like we've seen this kind of thing play out in a lot of things like Clue over the years, but the way they're doing it is pretty fresh. So I'm really enjoying it. I like how the first episode was lighthearted, like rom-com. And I like how the second episode was like an action flick, and then the third like a very funny musical. So I'm really enjoying it. It's really funny. I love it. I love all the characters. A lot of the people I really enjoy. Like I love Ike Barinholtz, Dave Franco, Ilana Glazer, like everybody involved I love. So this has been a really great joy for me to watch, and it's getting better. And for this latest episode, it's like a huge turning point now. The stakes are high, and I'm really curious to see what else is going on. So I'm really loving it and hate that it's going to be so short.
Well, okay, we've only been introduced to a couple of characters. We've gone over the 3 episodes. So do you have an idea of who you think might be the killer? Just based on the first 3 episodes. Like we kind of explored a couple different ways of like different people like on, like in the last episode or whatever. But like since you're a fresh voice, I'd love to see if like you have some inclination because at this stage we have no idea. But I don't know if like you're leaning one way towards one character or another, or you're like, man, too early, can't even start putting my chips down.
So I've been thinking about this. So at first I was like, it's got to be the least obvious person. So I was trying to think of the least obvious person. So at first I was like, maybe it's Zoe, because out of everyone there, she has the least motive to kill Xavier. So it might possibly be her. And then I was leaning on Walter, the guy that nobody knows because nobody knows him and they're not going to expect him. And it's kind of a running joke. People like treat him as he's invisible. They're like, who is that guy? So part of me thinks it might be him. And they're like, oh, wait, who are you? And then I think part of me feels like it might be him right now, just like as they show him more and more and how he's talking. So I'm either one of those two, Zoe or possibly Walter.
The great thing is that John Rocha, who's not here this week, but we will be back because I think John needed an extra week to sit there and think about who the murderer could be. So he was like, no, I'm just kidding. He'll be back next week. Don't worry. The outlaw will be back. John Rocha. He'll be moderating this whole shenanigans of all of us like hanging out. But he thought that with Walt, he's like, the one mystery about that guy, because people can't remember him, maybe he never went to even high school with those guys and he just crashed his party. And I was like, ooh, that's a good it's a good like hypothesis on that end.
Yeah, because all the time he's like, oh, I'm Walter. And all the time he's keeping reminding people, or maybe he was a really different guy, had a lot of hair, and now he doesn't have any something's going on there that he might be the killer. But we also spoke about Jasper, right? That we think that he might be too. I don't
Yeah,
know.
because he definitely has like that motivation of, yep, because it's just like, we used to be bros and we're not so close to bros. And so
Yeah,
like, there's like a little bit of definitely like jealousy of like, because Xavier Eugene became more popular.
yeah,
Adriana, what I like that you talked about was, because I was thinking about this too after I watched tonight's episode, with Chelsea, was that you're right. Like episode 1 was kind of, like the introduction, kind of this like romantic comedy, kind of just, the whole thing, like the murder mystery of the show. And then you get to like episode 2, and and like episode 2 kind of has its own theme. It's like the action thing with like Brett and and everything. And then we get to episode 3 and it's Jasper's kind of like, it almost feels like a musical. There are like 3 different like musical numbers in there, so it's like the musical. And then this episode tonight, this is like the I want to say it's kind of like the I Know What You Did Last Summer / kind of a Basic Instinct. I don't know, Adriana, if you felt that way about, yes, you did a good job of titling all the episodes. Like, I don't know if you had your own title for this episode of like what kind of genre it was.
Yeah, like it does feel more like teen thriller. Like,
yeah.
who did it? Because she's getting the text message and she's kind of looking around, and like of course the first 3 episodes are more comedic and lighthearted in tone, and just to see her point of view, everything's really scary and dark. Even like the lighting change and like the atmosphere change, and she's like, oh my god, what, like views everything kind of like in a really tense manner. So I really like that, and I thought it was pretty funny, like in comparison to how everybody else is seeing the events of the night.
And John, and how about for you? I mean, it's like, did you kind of feel like it was like an I Know What You Did Last Summer, Basic Instinct, or did you kind of have a different interpretation on it?
Yes, after Adriana was dividing the episodes, like put genre on the episodes, I was like, oh my god, looks like a thriller, like a horror movie. The girl, oh my god, something needs to happen. And and she was scary of that tall guy, hey, all the time, and it was really fun. Her perception of everything around her, and she was so scared. And then I was like, and I agree with you. There should be like a thriller, I think, teen thriller, something very like in that genre.
Yeah, for me, because when I was watching it, it wasn't what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting it to go, because it's kind of stayed comedic, it's kind of stayed lighthearted or whatever. So I wasn't expecting to go like kind of like this mystery suspense thing. It's kind of a nice change of pace as we're getting to episode 4, because I believe that there's only eight episodes total. So to like kind of get through halfway this season and kind of say like, okay, we're gonna toss it up a little bit. We're gonna like kind of give you like a different kind of arena of like how the show, the tone of the show. It's still going to keep, the way that it is, but we're just going to, just for fun, we're just going to, like, for the viewers and everything, we're just going to throw this kind of mystery thing in there. And and like it's interesting too, because it's like we know Alana Glazer from Broad City, so we know to be like this kind of crazy comedic actress. So I was expecting this like crazy, it's like I looked at the title, it just said Chelsea. So I was expecting to see like this like crazy episode about her, maybe a bong getting high episode. Instead, it's not that at all.
But she was trying to give tranquilizer to people, so she was a little crazy there.
Well, what's interesting though too, we talked about this, Jana, we talked about this last week about going to high school. Going back to this like reunion, and some people want to relive it, some people don't want to relive it, and she kind of talks about how she's like, I should have been like the queen, and I should have this or that, or like, but I had this thing happen. And so it unravels like a whole kind of mystery, and for the episode, and it kind of opens up the story a bit bigger. And also like we kind of see like what her motivation might be. Like we just talked about Jasper kind of being like jealous, and now we see like hers, and she talks about it, and she even basically says it's like revenge.
Yeah, but towards the end of the episode, I think she tells something that I don't think that was gonna happen, that she wanted to take pictures and put online. And I was like, that's fishy. Something's cooking there, because I think there's another motivation there, that's why she wanna do something like their revenge against Xavier.
Yeah, right. Adriana, like, have you ever like had that thing, like your whole, just kind of your take on going back to a high school reunion?
I'm in the camp, like I really don't have the desire to go. Honestly, like can't say I had a bad experience or it wasn't great either, but it just like it's not something I really have much of a desire to go to. Like I didn't have like, so for me, I'm just kind of like, if I were to go, what would my reason be? Maybe just to like, I don't even know at this point. Maybe just to, hey, I have some level of success. I live in LA. I'm all the way from North Carolina, so there really isn't a lot of connect anymore from my high school.
Yeah, I know, and I mean, like that's like the interesting thing about like this story too, because she like talks about saying, you know, like not only she should have been the queen, but it's either sit there and say like, to go back to all these people and say, look at my success, or look at my hot. Like the one thing I thought was really funny was look at my hot spouse. And I had never thought about that. I was like, oh yeah, I guess that's like another thing to like want to go back to. But I think the other funny thing about it, you know, like I always think about it, is that I went to my 10-year, and I think like when I went to my 10-year, I guess it existed at the time, but now because of Facebook, you know, you're able to connect with people and just kind of see, and you're kind of like, okay. So it's like if you see them in person, it's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I already saw that on Facebook. So it's you know, so it's like, so like, do I want to relive this high school experience, or do I just want to say like, hey, like, you know, that's when I knew you then, but one of the reasons I don't know you now is because that was then and this is now.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's yeah, now with Facebook, we don't need to go there and see them. But I went to my 10th as well, and that was before Facebook. So it was funny to see some people, the ones that were like the ones that were beautiful, now they're not that beautiful, and vice versa. It's funny to see people with a lot of hair had a lot of hair, now they don't have hair. Some very successful, and some of them just broke. It's funny to see that difference.
I mean, so okay, so Jana, you talked about it. So okay, so like as we're watching the episode, you know, like clearly, like the big thing about this, and the kind of like something that opens up the story is that, you know, Chelsea, Alana Glazer's character, is getting like these mysterious texts. And so that's like one of the reasons why she's like, well, I keep getting these things that are telling me don't come to this reunion. And clearly, like if someone's going to do that to you, then there's you know, like it already gives you curiosity, not sit there and say like, I'm going to sit at home. Now you're like, well, I want to, other than her own motivation about Xavier, is like, well, no, like now I want to go. So did you guys have an inkling prior to, until we saw him, of who like the mystery person was walking around being like, hey?
No, I didn't thought about what. I never thought about him. I thought it was her imagination.
Right,
Personally.
right, because she's a little wackadoo.
Yeah. It wasn't. I never thought that it was him.
Adriana, did you have any like in your what's that?
No, I said it's funny because you're not supposed to think about him at all. Or I guess that's the way everybody else perceives him. Like they don't really think about Walt.
Yeah.
Maybe that was like purposely done. Like you're not going to think it's him.
So did you think that the person was real, or just like a figment of her imagination? Or like, did you even think that it was him? Or did you were like, I thought it was going to be somebody else? Adriana, like, I don't know if you know.
I was thinking it was maybe somebody else. Maybe they were trying to like introduce another character into the story. But when they showed it was just him, I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of funny. That's why he's part of my theory, is that he might be the killer, because the way they kind of portrayed him as kind of like lurking in the background. So that's part of why he's in my theory. But of course, I didn't think that about him until after that reveal of him following her around.
Well, how about the whole aspect of, so, you know, Jana, we talked about this last week, and what I noticed in the Jasper episode was that, so what I noticed in the Jasper episode is that, you know, Anik has one shirt on most of the time at the party. And then at the reunion, his shirt's a little different. And it's because, you know, like one of the things that I was told, it's because like, since we're seeing so many different perspectives, those are kind of some of the things that change. But I noticed, like, I believe like in the first 3 episodes that we didn't see, that we do see in this episode, is that when they're out, it's raining.
Yeah.
It's raining, and I don't think like when anybody else is telling the story, like at the high school, there's actually rain, and I don't know if you noticed that in this particular episode, if that stuck out to you at all.
Yeah, it's raining, but I didn't notice that. But I noticed that the Chelsea, she does on purpose, like the drink on his shirt. I don't know if that he's gonna change later on, or they're gonna talk about that, but I don't know. But that was I didn't know. I noticed the rain, but I didn't notice that the other episodes we didn't have the rain. You're right.
Well, yeah, I just thought of that because they did. Because I remember when they were doing Anik's episode, she's like, it wasn't raining, and he was like, and to me it was raining, like, emotionally.
Oh yes, that's right.
So
That's
it
right.
wasn't raining.
Yeah, but
Yeah, so it's like that's. Go ahead.
Yeah, but why her episode was raining? It was like boring. It was like, oh my god, it's weird, right?
Well, so like that was so like that's the thing, and that's what makes the show kind of interesting. Is it's like why like and like who knows like going forward if other people that are telling the story, because like the next because like this is going to be the most interesting thing is that episode 5 is entitled High School. So we might actually get to see like what the real thing might be at the high school or whatever. But from her perspective, it was raining, and someone else's like there was no rain in some of these other characters. But also what I thought was great though too is that it adds to her story. It adds to that like I know what you did last summer, kind of like that the feel of the genre of like how they wanted to take the specific episode. And so like that's why I think I caught it is that I was like, oh yeah, you know what? I don't remember other people having rain, or I don't know if it's because maybe most of the people telling the other parts of the story, like they were inside a little bit, and maybe like at the beginning of the night it wasn't raining, and then later on it did rain.
It did rain. Yeah, that's weird. I don't know. It's something to think about it, right? It's tricky now. I want to know who killed, or maybe he killed himself.
What did you ladies think of the whole aspect of the mystery of, like why, like like we've got this like open-ended thing from Chelsea about, she keeps like like what why she wants to like have this revenge on Xavier, but like we don't really know what this thing is yet.
Yeah, I don't know.
So-
Maybe he did something. I don't know, because I can think a lot of things like because he was doing a St. Patrick's party. Was maybe she got drunk, she took off her clothes. I don't know. Maybe it was something that she was ashamed of, and then that changed her life like entirely. Like after that, you have Chelsea before that and Chelsea after that. So I don't know. I can think a lot of stuff, or maybe she declared to him, "Oh, I love you so much," and then he just didn't. No. I don't know. Just throwing their stuff there.
Well, because like like Adriana, like I don't know for you, because like one of the most interesting things is that throughout the episodes, we kind of see the cool Xavier, or like at least from like the perspectives of other people, it's like he's still cool. Like even when Brett's trying to kind of like knock him down a notch, and Brett's telling his version of the story, like Xavier's still kind of the cool guy, the cool success guy from high school, even if they kind of like try to bring him down a notch and call him Eugene. But in this episode, from Chelsea's perspective of seeing Xavier, he's always awkward around her. He's never like the cool guy that he's been with Anik, the cool guy that he's been with Jasper, the cool guy that he's been with Brett. Now it's like he's reverted back to like, or at least from Chelsea's perspective as we're watching it, he's like that Eugene character, or like what he might have been in high school. There's like that awkwardness, and I don't know if you have a take, or like like just kind of like watching the two of them interact.
So, because it's very obvious that he probably was like a dweeb, or like maybe like you said, not cool when he was in high school, when they like, especially when oh my god, the character, like the guy who does the musical names, oh my god, I forgot his name. Yeah.
Oh, Jasper.
Jasper. I sorry, his name escaped me real quick. But yeah, when Jasper was talking about, he's like, we had a ska band and we did all this together, and like, so it's very clear that he wasn't probably the cool kid, and maybe she was, because she's like, oh, I was supposed to be on top of the world. So something like that happened to them. So maybe, I don't know, based on what I know, like something like I agree with Jenna, maybe one of the two lied about something, or he lied about something that happened between the two of them, and it kind of just changed the course of her life. So that's what I'm getting. And he does remember, or feels some sort of guilt about it, or doesn't want to have to acknowledge it. That's why he, when he sees her, he knows what he did, and he's like, oh, I don't want to have to be confronted or have other people know what I did and kind of ruin my persona, this cool persona I built for myself over the past, I don't know how many, 15 years, that he's trying to portray to everybody else. So,
yeah.
One of the crazy things that, Jana, what did you think about kind of seeing him be like that? Seeing Dave Franco be like the awkward character versus being kind of the alpha character.
Yeah. I see that. I see what you say, what you guys are talking about, but it's weird. It's weird, and he even weird when we talk about this on the second episode when he and Brett had that discussion, and I thought that he was a little weird. There is something weird about him, about Eugene. So something that unresolved between both of them, and also like with Charles. But I see what you see. He's the cool guy for part of the friends, not friends, for the high school friends from the past, and for so others he's just not good. I got it.
Well, something that I didn't expect for us to, I just figured it was just going to be just kind of like, I didn't really realize that they were going to bring this backstory into the plot of the show. Is we kind of find out why like Zoe and Brett broke up. Like they referred to they referred to these things, but like we didn't have a specific thing. And here we hear that like Chelsea has had the affair with Brett, and so she's got like a lot of guilt behind that. But that's not, I wasn't expecting that. Jana, no. I don't know if you were expecting that.
No, I was like, what? I was like, why? Like, no, I don't understand that. But looks like that she had the affair with him. I was expecting someone from outside, not someone from the high school. But maybe like Chelsea said, I changed the way that I was after what happened to me, and now she's this crazy lady that goes around. I don't know. No, I don't say like breaking marriages, but like doing whatever she wants, I think.
Like, Adriana, I have it for you. Like, I don't know if you for that storyline, I'm just kind of like realizing that like, oh, Brett cheated on Zoe with Chelsea, if you were even expecting that to show up in this like murder mystery of the show.
No, actually. So like Jenna said, I was just expecting it to be just a random person, because they talk about it in the very beginning, like, oh, Brett had an affair, and they kind of they don't really talk about it too much, and they're already separated. So I didn't really think that it would play as big of a role later on down the road. So now that adds more layers, more motives to the mystery within the mystery going on here. So more of a web, I guess you could say.
And yeah, what do you think, Rick? What do you think about?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I didn't expect that to kind of like circle back. And the truth is it's what's funny too, is that if it's when it comes to like that Brett character, like I wouldn't have expected that Chelsea Alana Glazer would have been the one that he cheated with. Like, I mean, I know we've only been introduced to so many characters, but like, I guess that's like the one thing is that clearly with like the two Jennifers being pregnant and he's already on the outs with Zoe, like that kind of just leaves Indigo, who we all know is weird. She's like just like that oddball weird character that they keep bringing in there. So like, like Brett clearly showed that he wasn't attracted into her at all in his specific episode. So like, I never would have guessed that Chelsea would have been, Alana Glazer would have been the one that he cheated on with. Like I said, I'm just like you ladies, where I thought it'd have been the outside. It was just like some outside storyline that we were just told to be like, okay, that makes sense of why they're together. It's like, that's the kind of thing that happens. But it's interesting that like they brought it back around, and then, then it also brings kind of that awkwardness, and it shows, like of Chelsea trying to apologize to Zoe, and every time she's like, wait, let me talk to you. Zoe's like, until we get to the house.
Yeah, exactly. I know. And the Jennifers, one of them just disappeared. What happened there?
Yeah, so that's interesting. No, Jana, it's interesting that you bring that up, because as we left the last episode, she's the one that disappears. So you think that coming into this episode, that would be the episode that they open up about, okay, let's go find Jennifer too. What happened to her? And instead they kind of throw us for a loop, and we're given Chelsea.
Yeah, exactly. And then she's still no signs of her. Where is she? And she's fine. She has a big belly now because she's pregnant. So I don't know. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if it's the other Jennifer have something to do with that, or I don't know. I'm very curious to see, but I don't know. It's so much going on there.
Yeah.
No, I was saying it's interesting to see that they're not really. I mean, I think they show some concern, but they're not turning the place over looking for a missing pregnant woman at that, because they have, of course, the dead pop star, but then they're not like freaking out as much as they should be over, a missing pregnant woman, which I thought was kind of odd. So
yeah,
she's just missing.
Yeah.
No, and like the other thing that they open up in this with like Chelsea's storyline and her, being interrogated, is that she also talks about, like what her motivations, what her revenge was for Xavier, and the whole like, I'm bringing, cat tranquilizers. So we also get the reveal of why, like what happened to Anik, like why he like ended up passing out as bad as he did. It wasn't like so much drinking or whatever. And he tried to put the blame on Xavier, saying like, Xavier did this to me. But we actually get the real storyline of, we get not only do we get the storyline of that, but then we also like in Anik's brain, he thought that Zoe was the one that wrote the, like, I'm sorry on his hand, but it was actually Chelsea. And Chelsea has like an affection for Anik.
Anik, right? Yeah. I agree with you. She's always like taking care of it. And then she tells Zoe she's a great guy. She has a great heart, something like that. But she really likes him. But I don't think she wants to be with him. I think she really likes him as a friend. And I don't know. And then she's trying to figure out. I don't know. It's it's weird over there.
Yeah, like Adriana, did you expect that Chelsea was the one that got Anik all messed up? I didn't.
No, I did think it was Xavier, one of the popular guys, that did it just like to, or he did it by accident. So I didn't think it was her that had anything to do with it, even though they show like clear little clues where she has like the little bottle with the X on it, and there's little clues that lead up to that. But of course you don't, like the show keeps throwing you for a loop. So you think maybe he just got a little too drunk, or he's a lightweight. So that's what I was thinking for a while until they revealed that. So.
Well, because they kept talking about it. They kept saying that he's kind of a lightweight or this or that. So you think that, like, yeah, because like, and the whole thing is like, he's like seeing this like long lost love or whatever. So like, how people get when people like get into those situations, or like those anxiety situations of, oh, I'm going back to high school to see these people that maybe I didn't like, or like whatever, like people start, they start drinking the liquid courage and everything. And the next thing you know, like the train takes off before they're ready to. So like, that was kind of like what I thought too, is I said, oh dude, he just drank too much. But instead we find out that, yeah, it's like he, like someone had a motivation to get Xavier drugged, and instead, by Chelsea, from Chelsea, and instead it's Anik who accidentally ends up drinking the cat tranquilizer.
Yeah. What she said, Tiffany Haddish said on her character detective, she said they can't talk moo for cats. It's like the drink. I was like, oh my God, it's crazy. Imagine that.
Well, and then finally, okay, so now it still leaves the mystery of the texts. What kind of starts this whole thing for Chelsea is who is writing these texts. And she says, by the time Xavier falls off the cliff is when the texts stop. So do you ladies have, like, Adriana, do you have any like idea of who you think these mysterious texts might be coming from?
I thought maybe it was Jasper at first because they show him on the phone constantly, and he's the like kind of like walking around the party. He's kind of talking to her and interacting with her. So I thought maybe at first it was him because he's just like the whole time. So he was like my number one candidate for the text messages.
John, how about you?
Yeah, I thought about him too, and he's the one that is very high tech. Like he knows IT. He did all the circuits, the systems in Xavier house. So I thought about him too. But then maybe it can be him because now that they are trying to figure out, he stopped because it'll be obvious to be texting. You know what I mean? But at the same time, he's still texting with a Nick. So maybe in next episode, I don't know, maybe on the not the 5th, on the 6th, maybe we're gonna see another text there.
Yeah, because like the way that they started it out, like the start of this episode, kind of being like the suspense thriller and everything, and like how Walt is the guy that's just like, hey, and it ends just being that she dropped her keys. It's kind of like a good, like it was like with the text too for a while. I was thinking, you know what? She's so crazy in how they do this episode that it could be non-existent, because every story like so far is kind of told from that person's like whatever, except for the fact that she actually shows it to Tiffany Haddish, the detective, and says, see, here are the texts.
Yeah.
So, they kind of say like, I didn't make this up. This isn't from my like whatever, like they're actually physically here. And that completely threw me off.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. I don't know.
Maybe she's not as crazy as everybody is making her seem.
Yeah. Exactly. No, yeah, I agree with you, Rick. And also, I don't know. Maybe because maybe they can think that she's been texting herself. Maybe.
Well, maybe.
Can be there is these apps that you can text yourself. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know, just some suspicions there.
A second phone. Okay, so now that we've watched this episode, we've heard her perspective of why she's at the party, her motivation for being at, going to the reunion and everything, and like so like even Tiffany Haddish is kind of like, you're still a suspect. You're still a suspect, no matter. It's like if you sit there and say you apologized and that Xavier apologized to you. Do you still leave her on the table? Do you ladies still feel like she's just as much a suspect as anybody else? Or has her perspective of seeing the storyline convinced you that no, she's not the one that pushed Xavier over the balcony?
I feel like she's way too obvious because she's, like, aside from Anik, she has like the biggest, I mean, overall, she probably does have the biggest reason to push him over, but I guess it's always with stories like this is rarely ever the person with like the most obvious motive. So while I guess like evidence-wise she looks the most obvious, I don't think it's her.
Yeah, it's too obvious because she even said, or maybe she's just making up the story. You know what I mean? But I think it's too obvious to be her. I agree with you, Adriana, on that.
Well, okay. Well, do you ladies have any final thoughts before we close out and watch the high school episode next week and then jump on with John? Any final thoughts? Or did I miss anything? That you ladies wanted to talk about?
I think you talk about everything, and then I love the cat tranquilizer. For me, that was the most fun, and the way that it's not just a cat tranquilizer, it's like a drink. You put a lime splash, blah blah blah. I was like, oh my gosh, she's even explained that to the detective. No, I think we cover everything. I think it's great, and I want to watch until the end, but I'm gonna hold myself not to watch it.
I'll be honest, is that like I have seen a couple episodes ahead. However, for whatever reason, I missed this one. So this episode is like really fresh and enlightening for me. When I was watching, I was like, wait, I don't remember any of this, but this is great. I was like, this fills in so many holes of other kind of areas that I didn't know about. So I really, really enjoyed this episode, and I really liked the suspense thriller aspect to it.
Yeah, I liked it too.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm really looking forward to the other episodes. Well, I did skip a couple, not skip a couple, but I did watch ahead too. But it's getting pretty good, and it's still like, who is it? Still don't know for sure. So I'm really excited to see who is going to be right about who the killer actually is.
Yes. Oh my God, I cannot wait to see it.
Well, we're 4 episodes in, and we still have no clue. So at least we've seen, some of the people get checked off telling their versions of their motivations of why they're at the house and the high school reunion, and like what they think happened during the night. So, Adriana, where can everybody find you?
All right, so I have my website, thecinemasoloist.org, and then you can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Adriana and Bloom on the screen here.
And Jana?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Jana on Camera. My website, janaoncamera.com, and my YouTube channel, Jana on Camera. Everything's Jana on Camera, so it's easy.
And everyone, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I'm Rick Hong. You guys can find me on all social media at Rick Hong, and also at HollywoodFirstLook.com. We will be back next week talking the episode High School. John Rocha will also be back, so there'll be 4 of us breaking this show down, and maybe 4 minds can actually figure out who the murderer is. But even then, it's only episode 5, and we won't be talking any spoilers. So just make sure you always watch the episode before you tune in.
Exactly.
All right.
Bye.
On behalf of the Hollywood Critics Association, thank you, and we will talk to you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.